There's a moment every man remembers. She looks at you, just once, from across the room. Her eyes meet yours for a single second too long. And in that second, something inside you moves. Your pulse tightens. Your body leans forward before your mind even knows why. It feels natural, magnetic, like an invisible force pulling you toward her. But that 1 second is the trap. Because the moment you move first, you lose the power. You reveal desire. You reveal need. And she feels it instantly. Most men never recover from that first mistake. They spend their whole lives chasing what could have been drawn to them naturally. But you're not here to repeat that cycle. You're here to learn the method that turns pursuit into gravity, where she becomes the one who can't stop thinking about you. If you're truly ready to change your life, write in the comments, "I'm ready to change." Because once you make that decision, everything shifts. Now let's begin. Here's the first step. If you want to change how women see you and finally have the power shift in your favor, you must understand this. The moment you move first, you already moved wrong. Every man thinks action equals confidence. He sees a woman, feels the pull, and believes that walking up, speaking first, or showing interest proves courage. But what it truly proves is need. Because every visible move carries an invisible message. Your validation defines my worth. And the second that message escapes, even subconsciously, the polarity collapses. Imagine this. You're at a cafe. She's sitting 2 tables away, absorbed in her phone, occasionally glancing around. You feel that spark, that micro moment where her eyes meet yours. Most men break the silence instantly. They adjust their shirt, pick up their cup, force a smile, trying to appear relaxed, but radiating nervous energy. She sees it all, not in detail, but in essence. Her instincts register it as weakness. Desire dies before words even begin. Now contrast it with another man, the one who stays still. He notices her, acknowledges the moment, but never reacts. He remains in his world, calm, focused, grounded. Minutes later, she looks again and again. The energy shifts quietly. The hunter becomes the hunted, without a single word spoken. Machiavelli would have warned you. Those who reveal their hunger too soon lose the negotiation before it starts. A man's silence, when charged with composure, speaks louder than any approach. Let's take another example, one more vivid. Picture yourself at a party, surrounded by music, conversation, movement. Across the room, a woman keeps glancing in your direction. You notice, but you don't move. You keep speaking with your friends, occasionally scanning the room, not for her, but because you're centered. 10 minutes later, she crosses the room under another pretext, refilling her drink, greeting someone near you. But it's not coincidence. It's gravity. You didn't chase, you pulled. Here's the paradox that most men never decode. Attention given too soon becomes repulsion. Attention withheld with confidence becomes desire. It's not mystery for mystery's sake. It's self-respect disguised as composure. And this is where the psychological shift begins. Every time you feel the impulse to prove yourself, pause. Let it burn inside you without acting on it. That's the space where magnetism is born. Women don't crave men who react. They crave men who decide when to move. Machiavelli would have smiled here and said, "The throne is never taken by those who rush toward it. It's offered to those who wait in silence until the crowd kneels." So understand this clearly. When you move first, you lose position. When you stay still, you command attention. Every chase is an unspoken confession of weakness. Every silence is a declaration of power. And that's the first transformation, shifting from reaction to gravity. Because the man who can hold himself when everything in him wants to move is already holding the world without anyone realizing it. Here's the second step. To change how women see you and finally have them chase you, you must understand the law that rules all attraction. Power doesn't move. It pulls. Most men orbit. They revolve around the women they desire, adjusting their schedules, their tone, their presence, all in silent hope of being noticed. But true gravitational centers move for no one. They exist, and everything else adjusts around them. Think of the universe. Stars don't chase planets. The planets spin endlessly around them, drawn by invisible force. The same principle applies to human attraction, except the gravity isn't physical. It's energetic. Picture this. You're in a meeting. The woman across from you finds you intriguing, but you say little. Your focus stays on your work, your ideas, your mission. When you speak, it's deliberate, precise. You never seek her reaction. She laughs with others, glances toward you, tests your attention. But you never orbit her mood. You stay in your lane, self-contained, grounded. At first, she's uncertain. Then curiosity turns into tension. That silence between you becomes alive. She starts leaning closer, asking questions she could ask anyone else. The gravity has shifted. Now, imagine a second scenario. You're out with friends at a lounge, music low, lights dim. A woman stands at the bar, elegant, unreadable. Most men find reasons to hover near her. They offer drinks, compliments, attention. You don't. You keep your posture relaxed, eyes occasionally crossing hers, not to seek, but to test. Minutes pass. Then she takes a step toward you. Not consciously, but instinctively, drawn into your field. That's gravity. Machiavelli would have advised you quietly. Those who hold their ground force the world to move around them. It's the essence of leadership and seduction alike, presence that commands without demand. And here's the psychological secret. Movement kills mystery. Every time you act out of impatience, you drain your own charge. But the man who can hold still, internally and externally, becomes impossible to forget. Because stillness, when it's intentional, creates depth. That's why some men walk into a room and every woman feels something shift, even before a word is spoken. Their energy doesn't scatter outward. It draws inward, like a magnetic storm hidden behind calm eyes. Let this settle for a second. The universe rewards centers, not orbiters. The man who stops chasing becomes the axis around which everything rotates. Machiavelli would have smirked at this truth. It is better to make others move than to move yourself, for movement reveals desire, and desire reveals need. So the next time you feel that urge to act, remember this law. The moment you move without purpose, you dissolve your gravity. But when you stay centered, composed, absorbed in your world, women feel it. Not consciously, but biologically. Their instincts whisper, there is strength there. There is safety. There is something I want to understand. That's how power moves without moving. And that's how attraction stops being something you chase and becomes something that chases you. Here's the third step. To truly shift how women see you, you must eliminate the most destructive habit shared by nearly every man alive, the performance of value. 97% of men try to look valuable instead of being valuable. They study techniques, copy confident postures, memorize lines that sound alpha. They think attraction is built through display. But display is always a confession that your worth still depends on how she reacts. Every cool text, every strategic silence meant to look mysterious, every forced laugh at something she says, all of it tells the same truth. I am trying to manage your perception because I don't trust my natural gravity. Imagine this scene. You're on a date. She's radiant, composed. You tell stories you've rehearsed before, trying to be funny, trying to be impressive. She laughs politely, but something is missing. that spark of genuine curiosity in her eyes. You sense it too, though you don't admit it, because deep down, you know you're performing, and performance always leaks insecurity. Now, contrast that with a man who doesn't perform. He listens. He speaks when he has something real to say. His presence alone fills the silence with certainty. He's not trying to impress. He's expressing what already is. And she feels it, not as arrogance, but as truth. Her body relaxes. Her eyes soften. Her laughter becomes unfiltered. Here's the psychological reason. Women are biological lie detectors. They've evolved to feel energetic inconsistency faster than they can think. You can fake tone, posture, or confidence, but you can't fake frequency. When your energy says, "I hope you like me," her subconscious hears it long before your words. Machiavelli would have warned you sharply. He who pretends to power reveals that he has none. In politics or seduction, the act of pretending to be strong is the clearest sign of weakness. Let's make this even clearer. Picture a man at the gym surrounded by people. He laughs too loud, flexes subtly when a woman walks by, adjusts his shirt, makes eye contact to see if she noticed. It looks confident, but it feels hollow. Then there's another man. He's silent, focused, every movement deliberate, every set executed with calm precision. He never scans the room, yet the room keeps scanning him. Because authentic focus is rarer than noise, and the human mind is drawn to rarity like gravity. Mini conclusion. That's the hidden code women respond to, not performance but presence. When your attention is anchored in your purpose instead of their approval, you transmit quiet certainty. That energy rewires how they perceive you before you even speak. Here's a final image. Imagine two fires. One burns wildly, desperate for oxygen. That's the man performing value. The other burns slow and steady, radiating heat without effort. That's the man embodying value. The first attracts attention for a moment, then dies out. The second becomes the source everyone gathers around. Machiavelli would have cautioned, true power does not imitate, it emanates. And that's your next mission, to stop showing and start emanating. Because the woman who sees through your performance won't respect you, but the woman who feels your authenticity won't be able to forget you. And now that you've understood why imitation kills attraction, the next step will expose the biological reason behind it, why chasing activates her instinct to run, and how to invert that reaction forever. Here's the fourth step. If you truly want to change how women respond to you, you must understand what happens deep inside their biology when you chase. Because this isn't about psychology anymore. It's older than that. It's instinct. It's evolution. When you move toward a woman with visible desire, her subconscious doesn't interpret it as romance. It interprets it as pressure. Her primal brain begins scanning for danger. Not physical danger, energetic danger. The kind that says, "This man needs me to feel complete." And that single signal is enough to kill attraction before it even begins. Think of it like this. When a lion runs after its prey, the gazelle runs faster, not because it dislikes the lion, but because the chase itself activates fear. Now imagine a lion sitting still, eyes locked, breathing calm, energy unmoving. The gazelle still senses danger, but it's drawn to look back. That's the difference between pressure and presence. Here's a real-world version. You meet a woman at an event. The connection feels instant. Shared humor, a spark in her eyes. She gives you her number. Most men, overwhelmed by excitement, text the same night. "It was great meeting you." Then another text, and another. He believes he's showing interest, but in her brain, something ancient activates, a mechanism built to detect scarcity. Too much pursuit tells her, this man's world is small. I am his focus, and instinctively, her desire starts to fade. Now imagine another man, same situation. He waits, not as a tactic, but because his life is already full. His schedule is real, his mission active. He texts days later, calmly, as if time flows on his terms. The energy feels different. He's not chasing. He's inviting. She feels it. The difference between being wanted and being needed. One creates curiosity, the other creates escape. Machiavelli would have cautioned you quietly. Fear is born from desperation, control from patience. Every act of urgency signals weakness. Every pause creates anticipation. Let's take this deeper. Picture a man walking into a room full of people. His energy scans for approval. He seeks reactions, laughs at every comment, looks around constantly to ensure he's accepted. The women see him, but no one feels him. Then another man enters. He speaks little, moves slowly, doesn't search for attention. Yet, wherever he stands, eyes follow him. Why? Because the brain reads stillness as certainty, and certainty as value. Machiavelli would have smiled at this principle. Let them fear losing you more than you fear losing them, and they will return willingly. That is the primitive circuit inverted, turning instinct from defense into obsession. So remember this. The man who chases activates fear. The man who stands still activates fascination. And fascination, once born, has no off switch. Now that you understand why pursuit kills attraction at the biological level, the next step will show you how to weaponize that stillness. Through a method so precise, it becomes gravitational. The technique is called the magnetic void, and it's the law that makes her chase you. Here's the fifth step. To change how women see you forever, you must stop chasing completely and start becoming the center. Because attraction is not created through motion, it's created through absence. This is the law of the magnetic void. It's the invisible force that pulls everything toward you without you lifting a finger. And the secret is brutally simple. What you remove creates more power than what you add. Think about gravity. A black hole doesn't attract because it shines. It attracts because it absorbs. Its strength lies in silence, in its ability to pull everything inward without movement or noise. Your presence must work the same way. Here's how it looks in real life. You're at work. She's in the same room. She glances at you from time to time, curious but distant. Most men would find a reason to start a conversation, to make themselves visible. But you don't. You stay grounded in your task, focused, unbothered. You don't perform, you exist. You're there, yet unreachable. Hours later, she's the one finding reasons to talk. A question she didn't need to ask. A comment she could have made to anyone else. That's the void pulling her in. Now take a social example. You're at a party. Music low, lights dim, people scattered. She notices you. You can feel it. Most men start strategizing. When should I go up to her? What should I say? But the man who understands the magnetic void does something completely different. He enjoys his world fully. He talks to others genuinely. He laughs when he feels it, not when he should. He doesn't monitor her. He lives. Minutes later, she appears near him. Maybe she brushes past his arm. Maybe she comments on something he said to another person. It looks accidental. It never is. Because the void doesn't force connection, it invites it. It makes her feel that approaching you was her decision. And that illusion of choice is what binds her interest the deepest. Machiavelli would have advised quietly, it is wiser to make them come to you, believing it was their will. The magnetic void turns this political truth into emotional power. But here's what most men miss. The void only works when it's authentic. You cannot fake absence. You cannot pretend to have a life and purpose. You must build one. Because real gravity comes from mass. If you have no mission, no momentum, your stillness feels empty, not magnetic. But if your time, your goals, your silence all have weight, she will feel it, and she'll start orbiting without understanding why. This is where the game flips completely. You no longer chase validation. Validation starts chasing you. Her curiosity replaces your effort. Her attention replaces your pursuit. And every word, every silence, every pause becomes a test she's desperate to pass. Let's make it practical. When you feel the urge to text her again, don't. When you feel the need to explain yourself, stop. When you sense her pulling back, don't follow. Hold position. Each time you resist the urge to close the gap, you increase the pull. Because the human mind cannot stand empty space, it tries to fill it. And when that void is centered around you, she fills it with thoughts of you. Machiavelli would have smiled here and said, "He who waits with discipline rules over those who rush without reason." That's the magnetic void in motion, invisible, effortless, inevitable. It's how kings draw loyalty, how leaders inspire devotion, and how powerful men create obsession. Because the man who learns to hold the void never needs to chase what's already orbiting around him. Here's the sixth step. If you want to keep your magnetic power alive, you must avoid the 3 fatal errors that silently destroy it. Because most men who discover this law taste power once and lose it forever. The first mistake is pretending to be detached instead of being centered. You've seen this everywhere. Men who try to imitate calm, who speak slowly, move little, respond late. But it's theater. Their silence feels forced, their absence mechanical, and women feel it instantly. Because pretending not to care is still caring. It's not distance, it's disguised dependence. Picture this. You meet a woman at a bar. You've seen advice online. Be mysterious, be cold. So you play the part. You nod instead of engage. You answer short. You stare longer than you should. It's not confidence, it's strategy. And strategy without authenticity always leaks anxiety. She senses it, even if she can't explain why. Her instincts whisper. He's trying to control the situation because he's afraid of losing it. That's the death of attraction, when mystery becomes manipulation. Machiavelli would have warned you. The ruler who fakes composure invites rebellion. True authority never acts, it is. The correction is simple but rare. Don't pretend to be detached. Be fulfilled. When your life is rich enough, indifference is not a performance. It's a byproduct. The void becomes real only when it's surrounded by purpose. The second mistake is using resentment as fuel. Many men, after rejection or humiliation, adopt emotional revenge disguised as strength. They stop replying, withdraw affection, play hard to get, not from power, but from pain. That energy is toxic. It's not stillness, it's bitterness frozen in place. And bitterness repels faster than need. Imagine 2 men who go silent after being ignored. One feels peace. His world is full, his mission alive. The other feels anger. He wants her to notice his absence, to regret losing him. The first man radiates freedom. The second radiates pressure. Guess which one she comes back to? Machiavelli would have advised softly, never let vengeance disguise itself as virtue. True control means acting from abundance, not from emotional debt. And the third, the most insidious, is using success as new validation. This one destroys even the strong. After they master the magnetic void, after women start chasing them, they fall into a new trap. They start depending on being desired. They've changed the source, not the structure. It's the same addiction, dressed in confidence. Mini conclusion: validation, even when positive, is still dependency. Whether you crave her attention or her admiration, you're still orbiting her perception. And the moment your worth depends on what she gives, the gravity breaks. Picture a man who once chased women, then learned restraint. Now they chase him. and he becomes obsessed with keeping that attention alive. He checks messages, monitors interest, subtly adjusts to maintain the upper hand. He's back in the same prison, a more luxurious one, but a prison nonetheless. Machiavelli would have smiled knowingly and said, "He who conquers the kingdom must not become its prisoner." Power that depends on approval is already gone. So remember this. Don't fake detachment. Build fullness. Don't use resentment. Radiate peace. Don't worship validation. Stay centered. Because magnetism is fragile. It's not about perfection. It's about purity of energy. And when your gravity becomes corrupted by ego or revenge, women feel it before you even speak. But when you master restraint without resentment, presence without pressure, silence without strategy, you become untouchable. Here's the 7th step. To lock this power permanently, you need a structure. Magnetism is not random. It's a system, precise, repeatable, surgical. There are 3 tools that, once combined, make your presence irresistible. The first is total presence, the ability to exist fully in each moment. No scripts, no expectations. When you look at her, you see her. When you speak, you mean it. When you listen, you don't wait to reply. You absorb. Presence isn't loud. It's calm, electric stillness. It tells her subconscious, this man doesn't perform, he experiences. The second is purpose centrality, the gravitational core of your life. Every decision, every rhythm, every silence revolves around your mission. When your world is full, she doesn't complete you. She enters your orbit. This is what separates men who attract from men who chase. The first has direction, the second has distraction. The third is strategic void, the art of absence that ignites pursuit. When you stop filling every silence, when you resist every impulse to reach out, you create tension that compels her to act. Because nature abhors emptiness, and when the emptiness is centered around you, she fills it with her attention. Machiavelli would have counseled this. Power belongs not to the one who moves first, but to the one who makes others move. Here's the 8th step, the moment where understanding turns into identity. Because attraction isn't something you do anymore, it's what you are. There are 4 final pillars that define the gravitational man. First, he never chases validation. Every time he feels the pull to impress, to prove, to win approval, he sees it for what it is, the illusion of scarcity. He holds still. He lets silence speak. Second, he redirects every ounce of that energy back into his mission, not to escape women, but to build gravity. Purpose is the only currency that never loses value. Third, he understands that attraction is subtraction. Every low-energy habit he removes, the over-texting, the over-explaining, the overthinking, increases his pull. Power isn't added, it's revealed. Fourth, he remembers that control means freedom, not manipulation. He doesn't use silence to punish. He uses it to purify. He doesn't create tension to dominate. He creates space for desire to bloom. Machiavelli would have reminded him gently, the wise never chase fortune. They position themselves where fortune must pass. So remember, when you live by these pillars, you stop orbiting anyone. You become the center. Your energy no longer seeks approval. It commands it. And the world, including her, adjusts its rhythm around you. You've reached the point few men ever touch, the moment where strategy becomes nature, where silence speaks louder than words, where your stillness pulls stronger than their pursuit. You no longer need to chase anything, not approval, not attention, not desire. Because now you are the gravity. Every glance, every pause, every word carries weight. You don't move to impress. The world moves to align with you. That's what true magnetism is. Not performance, but presence. Machiavelli would have smiled at this transformation and whispered, "The man who masters himself rules without saying a word." So remember, the game was never about her. It was about you. The man who stops seeking becomes the one everyone seeks. The man who no longer needs becomes the one no one can ignore. If this opened your eyes and you're serious about becoming the man who's in full control of his life, my book is now available. The Undeniable Man, Built to be Chosen. It's a strategic guide for men who want to attract, lead, and dominate in their love life and beyond. Whether you're single or in a relationship, no fluff, no tricks, just pure, powerful strategy that will set you apart from 99% of men, and that you will actually use every day. The link is in the description. And if this video spoke to you, don't just keep your thoughts in your head. Write a comment, even just a few words. It helps you remember these lessons, and it might help someone else too. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content, and share it with someone who, in your eyes, needs it right now. Just trust your instinct. We're all trying to get clearer, more solid inside. So let's build minds that don't break.